Well, it wasn't a nuke, but Trump did go ahead and order a surprise military attack on Iranian nuclear facilities on Saturday night, an attack which involved more than 125 aircraft and 75 precision guided weapons. The operation was dubbed Midnight Hammer and saw the first real world use of the 30,000-pound bunker busting bombs. In total, the U.S. used 14 of the bunker busters and 7 B 2 bombers. After it was over, Trump gave a short speech to the nation in which he said that far greater attacks will be forthcoming if peace does not come quickly, which might be his way of saying that the beatings will continue until morale improves. Trump had J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, and Pete Hegseth stand behind him during his televised speech, with Vance curiously looking a bit perplexed by all that was going on. One rather strange thing that Trump said at the end of his speech is, "I want to just say, we love you, God, and we love our great military." As odd as that sounded, it actually wasn't the first time that Trump spoke of God, almost as if God is a neighbor down the street rather than the creator of the universe. For example, Trump casually said that Biden will hurt God and that he, Trump, has a great relationship with God. In this case, Trump saying, "We love you, God," was clearly an awkward attempt at pandering to believers, especially his Christian base. Yet, as with so much else that Trump says and does, believers simply refuse to see through him. There were a couple of notable reactions to the attack, with one being from the Israeli foreign minister who said that Trump wrote his name tonight in golden letters in the history books. By contrast, the Iranian foreign minister said the attacks are outrageous and will have everlasting consequences. Iran reserves all options to defend its sovereignty, interest, and people. All of this brings up the question, what now? And the answer is, we don't really know. Things could literally go in almost any direction, both in the short and long term. We simply have no idea what's inside the Pandora's box we just opened. And there are reports this afternoon that Iran has indeed launched missiles at a U.S. airbase. Iran's parliament has endorsed closing the Strait of Hormuz, but the U.S. currently has a massive military presence in the Gulf and surrounding region, and a move by Iran against the strait would almost certainly trigger a significant military response. There are also conflicting reports as to how successful the U.S. attack was, which brings up the possibility of further attacks by either Israel or the U.S. to finish the job. Trump, of course, has said that the attack was a resounding success. There was a bulletin from the National Terrorism Advisory System yesterday which warned of a heightened threat environment in the United States in the aftermath of the attacks. The bulletin added, "The likelihood of violent extremists in the Homeland independently mobilizing to violence in response to the conflict would likely increase if Iranian leadership issued a religious ruling calling for retaliatory violence against the United States." Right now, however, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is in hiding due to assassination fears, and the Iranians have been gearing up their plans to find his replacement. In addition, Iran's foreign minister is headed to Russia today to meet with Vladimir Putin. Perhaps the biggest fear that many Americans have are the sleeper cells embedded in our own country, and of course, if something happens along those lines, the Trump administration would immediately point the finger directly at Biden's immigration policy. While sleeper cells or other Iranian attacks on American interests in the world might be an immediate concern, I do believe that a large-scale payback by Iran in the future is also a legitimate possibility. I talked about this a bit in the last video, although I focused on Trump deciding to use a tactical nuke as the reason for Iran seeking to destroy an American city, which I suggested would be New York City. But as a friend of the channel pointed out in the comments on that video, it really didn't have to be a tactical nuke to make Iran seethe with anger and desiring a massive payback against America. And that's basically what we saw happen on Saturday night as the U.S. planted the seeds for a shocking attack on an American city by Iran and their allies. Even if there ends up being a temporary truce between Iran and Israel over the next few months, we can know for sure that Iran will be planning to strike back at the U.S. at some point in the future. After all, the planning for the 9/11 attacks was a process that spanned several years, with the initial concept for using airplanes as weapons originating in the mid-1990s, at least 5 years before it was executed in 2001. It's true, however, that there are many countries in the Middle East who oppose the extremism of Iran. While they may have publicly criticized the attacks as destabilizing the Middle East, they would also not mind if Iran is greatly weakened. As strange as it might sound, all of this opens up an opportunity for an Abraham Accords 2, a comprehensive peace agreement involving Israel and many of her neighbors. Perhaps there is even an inducement for the now weakened Iran to be included in such a peace covenant. But should that happen later this year, or perhaps early next year, it will be fascinating to see what form it takes. Would it be a 7-year covenant, which is straight out of Bible prophecy? Or perhaps it's a series of 7 one-year agreements that will have to be renewed by all parties annually? Of course, it's worth noting that the Bible speaks of the Antichrist forging a 7-year covenant that he himself breaks halfway through. But what is it that causes him to break the 7-year covenant with many? Could it be that, out of revenge, one of the parties involved in the covenant with many decides to attack the homeland of the Antichrist, and in turn, the Antichrist enters the Holy Land in a fury to destroy many? The likelihood that Iran is now developing a long-term plan for massive revenge against the United States could be the reason we will see, about 4 years from now, Donald Trump entering the Third Temple and proclaiming that he has saved the world. One thing for sure, we are at the point of seeing end times Bible prophecy come to life. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.